I got 3 books here. This first one you probably never heard of. I was just rereading it. And I got 2 others. But this first one right here, it's not in bookstores. And I'm kind of like a nerd that likes to read really old books. So this book is titled Paradigms. And basically the book is about how everything in your life, whether it's your career, whether it's your finances, whether it's your relationships, it's all the results of paradigms. And a paradigm is just a multitude of habits. Now, this book right here is called Atomic Habits, and it's probably the best book ever written on habits. It features the latest advances in neuroscience, psychology, and it breaks down habits. But what really surprised me about the book is that he said the purpose of a habit is to change your identity, your self-identity. And you cannot ultimately change your life or your habits without changing your identity. So it's like this, you've been in debt forever, you want to get out of debt, you want financial freedom. Well, in order to do that, you want to change your life, right? You want to change your finances. Well, you have to change your habits, i.e. your paradigms. But in order to do that, you have to change your identity. So what do you want? You want to be someone who has financial freedom. You want to be a millionaire. You want to be retired, but your identity is someone who's always in debt. Or let's say, for example, you want to get healthy and the last 20 years, 10 years, you've been pretty overweight. You know you have been, you know you've had some health problems with it. The doctors told you, they said you need to lose weight for your own health. They say you're having these problems and you identify yourself as someone who is overweight. But in order to change that, you have to have a new self-identity. As someone who's in the best shape of their lives, your body looks better than ever. You feel fantastic. You can see it in your stomach. You can feel it in your face when you smile. You're lighter. You're healthier. You have a new identity. Or for me, I was 19 years old and I dropped out of college and I decided I wanted to be a writer like these people. And I had an identity of myself as a jock. I was an idiot. I only got into college because my mom wrote my SAT stuff because I could never focus. I got kicked out of school. More on that story later. And in order to do that, to create my dream life, sorry, I got some applesauce here from my daughter. Still smells pretty good. But this book's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So to change your identity, you have to break the habit of being yourself because all your personality is a collection of habits, also known as a paradigm. So your personality is just a habit. That's all it is. And what he says in this book is to change your personal reality, you have to change your personality. So I'm going to walk you through 4 steps to change your self-identity or your self-image. These are the steps that I use to go from college dropout and all the publishers said that I couldn't publish to becoming an international author, books translated into other languages, and ultimately publishing with the #1 English publishing company in the world, Penguin Random House. And I'm going to share these 4 steps so that you can use them in your own life. Wait, what's that? Oh, it was my daughter saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just kidding. My daughter, she's not quite old enough to be able to say that, but I know that it's coming here pretty soon. I guess that's what all the parents say when your daughter develops a personality and she likes to exercise her wittiness. So step number 1 is that you have to identify your memories that built your story. So think of your outside reality as just a reflection of this pyramid. No, we're not talking about a pyramid scheme. We're just talking about a pyramid here. So at the bottom of that pyramid is memories. At the top is reality, right? Is identity and reality, because your identity creates your reality. So up here is the amount of money you want. Up here is the body you want, the health you want, the career you want, the life you want, the change in habits that you want. That's the end result. But to get to the end result, you have to identify the memories that built the stories that ultimately control your identity. So another way to look at that is memory creates story, equals identity. Your identity is your personality, and your personality controls your personal reality. So I know we don't know each other that well, but let me just tell you a quick personal story of how this relates. And this is also all proven through neuroscience in Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. So if you want to change your identity, we go back to that pyramid, it starts with your memories, right? And I always loved basketball. That was what I did. It was my whole life. I was just a jock. I was going to go to school, play college basketball. Then I was going to go play overseas. It was the only thing I cared about. I hated school and I didn't really have any other passions other than basketball. But then in 8th grade, I was failing my science class and I almost got my eligibility for basketball taken away. So I tried as hard as I could to pass my classes because I cared about basketball. And what ended up happening was every time that I would spend all this time studying, I would do just as bad on those tests. I'd forget everything that I learned. Then I had to get a tutor. Then I was diagnosed with ADD, and I thought that I was not very smart. And this led me ultimately to getting kicked out of my junior English class and having to finish an independent study where you sit in a room by yourself and you don't have a teacher. There's just a supervisor making sure no one breaks windows and starts throwing desks, and you're with all the other crazy kids that are also told they have all these ADD and ADHD problems. And I'm sitting there in this class and I'm like, geez, I'm stupid. I gotta get really good at basketball because I'm stupid. And then years flash by, I get into college, I get into play basketball. My mom writes my admission essays into college because I didn't know how to write or do anything. And then flash forward a few years later, here I am, I'm 19 years old, I'm a freshman in college. I'm sitting in my dorm room by myself, reading all of these epic books, Wayne Dyer, Jack Canfield, and I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to study human potential. I'm going to travel around the world. I'm going to write a book all about it. It's going to be epic. I'm going to become a big author. There's no reason to go to school because I already know what I want to do, and school's not going to help me do it. And then just like that, but I'm stupid. But I have ADD. So a memory in your life triggers a story, and that story becomes a paradigm or a habit or a self-identity. So if you want to start to change your outside reality, you get to the core of your identity, which gets to the core of what are the stories that you tell about yourself? What are the stories that you tell about yourself from memories that usually happened in childhood? And those memories, if you can go back to them, you can rewrite the operating script or the story. Big idea number 2 is once you identify the story, you have to reimagine it or build a new story, which in turn changes your identity, and then it changes your daily habits that control your life. Now, this was originally popularized, this idea of shift of identity or self-image was popularized by Maxwell Maltz. Dr. Maxwell Maltz wrote probably the first famous psychology book ever. It was called Psycho-Cybernetics, and he was a famed plastic surgeon. So he'd have all these people that'd come in and they were rich and they'd want these epic surgeries, and he would do these epic surgeries. He'd make them look freaking perfect. Chiseled chins, chiseled this, chiseled that. Everything was great. Brand new nose. They were amazing. And then he would see them a month or 3 months or 6 months later, and then they'd want to change something else. And he noticed you could change the outside appearance, but if you didn't change the self-image or the self-concept, then you could not get lasting change. And here's one of his most powerful quotes. The science of cybernetics does not tell us that man is a machine, but that man has and uses a machine. Moreover, it tells us how that machine functions and how it can be used. So the machine that governs your life is your self-identity, your stories, or your self-image. And a cybernetic mechanism is the same thing in a GPS. It has a patterned plan to get you from New York to Los Angeles. It has a pattern plan to fly from Los Angeles to Sydney, right? It's in an airplane. It's a GPS. Well, your subconscious, your self-image, your identity, that's your cybernetic mechanism. And that's why Maxwell Maltz titled the book Psycho, meaning mind, and cybernetics, meaning the machine within the mind. Now, here's the big thing. This machine machine controls your whole life. When I started my career and I wrote my first book and I finally broke through having ADD and being stupid, I write this book and all the publishers told me no. And every single publisher, 30, 40 of them, they said the same thing. You are too young. So again, I have a very traumatic emotional experience. My dreams are denied. I'm told the same thing. I'm too young. That emotion and that memory stored into my subconscious as a belief system or a story that I was too young to become a successful author. So essentially, a big part of self-development, the most important and lasting personal transformation, it comes from unlearning. You have to unlearn who you think you are. And who you think you are isn't reality. It's just a story. It's just a paradigm. It's just a self-identity that has wired into your actual neurocircuitry of your brain. And the amazing thing that we now know why this is one of the best times in human history to be alive is because we now know through neuroscience that the brain is plastic, meaning it's changeable. Neuroplasticity means the brain's ability to change. And if you can tell a new story, then you can change your brain, you can change your habits, you can change your identity, and you can change your life. So you say to yourself, well, what do I want? You go through your mind, you find those memories, you find the stories you built, and then you say, well, who do I want to be? What's my new story? My new story was that I'm not a young author that has ADD problems. I'm a world-renowned author making millions of dollars and inspiring millions of people. And you build a new image by first detaching from your existing one to ask yourself the question, what do I want? Not what do I think I can get, not what's possible based off of my past, which is just the memories, which is just the old personality, which is just the old story. What do I want? What do you want? What do you want? And when you start to build that picture, we now know through neuroscience, you activate new cells in your brain. You build new neural connections. You change your brain. And when you change your brain, you change the way it chemically and neurologically operates, which changes your mental activity. Your mental activity is just your personality or your identity or your story, and thus you start to change your life. Now, the way that you do this is through a good old-fashioned journal. Pull out a pen and pad and you write it all in the present tense in detail. Who do you want to be? How do you want your life to look? And you evoke the senses. What is it gonna feel like? What does it really look like? Not vaguely, hey, I'm gonna have more money. Hey, I'm gonna be healthier. But what does it look like when you wake up and you're 20 pounds lighter, in the best shape of your life, your heart is better, your blood pressure is lower? What does it feel like? What does it look like when you look yourself in the mirror and your eyes are wider and your smile is bigger? What does it feel like to wake up and see the beautiful mountains from your brand new house now that you're a successful business person? What does it look like, feel like? And you pull out a pen and pad and you take 5 to 10 minutes and you ask yourself, what do I want? Who do I want to be? What does it look like? And what does it feel like? And you detail that specifically in the present tense. You've officially started to write a new story and build a new paradigm. Now, the reason that I'm so big on combining this with hypnosis is because science tells us now that, as I stated earlier, the most important part of self-development is unlearning your story, unlearning your identity, and thus that unlearns your habits, and thus you can recreate your entire life. So when I do this, I do it daily. I listen to my success hypnosis when I do it, so I'm also engaging my brain and activating new cells in my brain through sound. So you can check out my free success hypnosis right there down below. It's jakeshypnosis.com. We also give away $1,000 to one lucky person for free that is using the hypnosis every single month. So you can check that out right there down below. Now, step number 4 comes from Atomic Habits on the latest studies on how to effectively change habits. And in order to do that, there's something called implementation intention. Now, this is when you set a clear, defined effort goal. That effort goal is something you show up for, right? And the way that this looks in order to change your identity is you set your intention of implementation around rereading what you wrote out in the previous step. So every day, I read out how I'm inspiring millions of people, my books are selling all over the world, and I used to tape this on my fridge and read it out loud twice a day, every morning and every single night. The reason this is so powerful is because you start to activate new cells in your brain and you start to regularly use repetition to start to put a new identity into the corners of your subconscious. Now, this is an easy step to do that you can just tape up to your fridge, you can tape up to your mirror, and you read it every single solitary day. So now we're getting to the end here. You found the memories that control your story. You went back into your childhood, early years of your life. And just like I said for myself, you found the memory that created the story that equals your identity. Mine was I have ADD, I'm too young. Thus, it's my identity. Thus, I'm living a limited reality. Those memories build the stories which create your identity and your reality. Now, you can go back in and you can build a new story. The reason that this is so important is because imagination is what allows you to build a new self-image. So what Dr. Maxwell Maltz started doing with his patients in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics, is he would bring them in not just for their plastic surgery, but for a form of self-image counseling, where he would help them use their imagination to build a new self-image. And here's what he said about why this is so important. A human being always acts and feels and performs in accordance to what he imagines to be true about himself and his environment. For imagination sets the goal picture, which our automatic mechanism works on. We act or fail to act not because of will, as is so commonly believed, but because of imagination. Now think about this. Your life right now is a product of your own imagination. I imagined that I had all these learning problems and I wasn't smart because I had a memory that I deducted a meaning from it that says I am not smart. But then I just imagined it. Yeah, maybe I'm not good at science in 8th grade because I don't care about it. Maybe that was just it, right? But we use our imagination negatively. We imagine that we're getting cheated on. We imagine that we'll always be alone. The right guy, the right woman isn't out there. We imagine we don't have the resources. We imagine we aren't qualified enough. We imagine that we could put all our energy into something and it doesn't work out. It seems rational. It seems logical because it's based off of a memory of a past experience, but we're carrying that into the future. Now, you can use your imagination constructively or destructively. When you use it constructively, you unlearn what you imagined in the past and you build a new picture about the way that you treat yourself, about how you eat, about your health, about your exercise, about your money, about your daily life, about where you live, about how you feel, about how you interact with others. This new image builds a new picture. This new picture builds new neurological connections. This new neurological connection builds a new brain, which controls you chemically, which controls your mental activity, which controls your identity, your paradigms, your habit, and the outside results and circumstances of your life. And it begins and changes through repetition of imagination. The only reason your self-identity or self-image exists is because it was repeated. And you can start to change this every single day by reading these statements out loud in front of the mirror. So give it a try. Let me know how it works for you. If you haven't yet, be sure to get my free success hypnosis. It's right there down below, jakeshypnosis.com, pinned to the comments and in the description. Let me know what you think of today's video. And remember, when you change your identity, you change your life. And you can change your identity by identifying the memories that often were early in our lives, that we built a certain meaning or story that ultimately controls our perception, our habits, and the results of our life. But remember, you are not the victim to these circumstances, and you can change them through the power of your own imagination.